Hello and welcome to episode number 83 of the Knitting Teaspoon podcast. I'm Liesbeth, your host, and this is a podcast which is all about knitting, spinning, sewing, basically all of the fiber crafts that I feel like. And I've been up to a few the past few weeks, months actually, because it's been a while since I've last recorded an episode. There's been some delay. I was planning on maybe do an episode between Sinterklaas and Christmas, but my son had chickenpox that weekend, so he was spiking a fever, and there was no way that I was going to record while my husband was going to take care of all of that by himself. And we had a severe lack of sleep. And then last week would maybe have been the first weekend of the new year, obviously, but I decided to skip it because it was partially because it was a holiday, and also because I had a cold and I did not really have a voice, so that makes it quite hard to record an episode. So there you are, but I'm back. And I've been up to a few crafts, but I've actually also been in a bit of a crafting slump, and there's a pretty good reason for that, I think. And it will affect quite a bit of this podcast. So let's get right into the big news, because I'm pregnant. We are having a baby again, and that's super exciting news for me. And I'm 16 weeks along now, so into that safer second trimester, so that feels good. I obviously already was pregnant when I last recorded an episode, if you calculate back, but not yet in a phase where I was willing to share it, because I don't think I even had a first ultrasound yet at that point. So anyway, now I have had plenty, because there have been some minor complications, but nothing to worry about. See, we still have a Christmas tree. I know it's quite late to still have it up. Maybe some of you can recognize that there is a finished object in the tree, so that's why I kept it up deliberately late. I was going to take it down this week, but my son is very excited about Christmas trees. He tends to point them out everywhere when he comes across them. So I was like, why take down a tree? I mean, we are currently in a lockdown again in the Netherlands, so it's not like we're having a lot of visitors at the moment. So we might as well have our son enjoy our Christmas tree for a little while longer. It's a fake tree, so it's not going to waste. Anyway, so let's let's first say what I'm wearing. This is an old make. This is a Fana inspirert-kjole, which I think means something like a Fana dress. Fana being a region in Norway, and this pattern is probably typical of that region. I purchased this pattern from Rauma a few years back when I went to the Oslo Strikke Festival, back when there were still big events and COVID wasn't a thing. Anyway, I didn't purchase it at the festival, but when I went to Oslo Strikke Festival, I also made sure to make a tour of yarn shops around Oslo, because there are quite a few, and they have very nice yarns that are harder to get in the Netherlands where I live. So this is Rauma, I think Vino? No, I think it's PT2. I think that's also a discontinued yarn, or maybe there are two brands that went together since, so I'm not really sure whether this yarn still exists. It's on my Ravelry page, so I'll put it in the description box. But it was a very nice pattern to knit. It's a dress, so it comes to my knees, and since I have a belly that is growing, it's one of the few things that really fits nicely now, and also keeps my belly nice and warm, because it's knee length. It doesn't really matter if it starts to slowly go up a little bit. It still keeps me nice and warm. So I really like wearing this at the moment. So let's get into what I've been knitting. And well, first of all, I have been knitting on the Christmas balls that I have been, that I had already started before last podcast. These are patterns by Arne Carlos. I do have the book here, but it's covered in other projects. So I purchased this book a while back because one of the ladies at my local knit group that I have not been able to go to for quite some time already because of lockdown situations here, she was working on these Christmas balls, and I thought, well, actually it's kind of fun, so let's make some too. And I think she knit like 150 of them, but I finished 12. I think it's 12. Yes, I'm pretty sure it's 12, and I was already pretty done with it. Now she made a bit of a smarter decision because she just knit in 2 colors, and I decided to hold 2 strands together for each color, which I feel is a little bit fiddlier and takes a little bit more time. Also, she probably has more time than I have. I mean, she's retired and I have a small kid running around, so yeah. Anyway, I really enjoyed knitting these balls. I always made sure to knit the same pattern twice, like once with the white as the background color and the red as the contrast color, and then the reverse ball I also knit because then I knew for sure that I would have about the same amount of yarn used. I did not really make a nice finishing for the, well, how do you call it, the strap that you hang the balls up with. I was planning on crocheting it, but by the time that I was finished with knitting all the balls, or knitting 12 of them, I do have enough yarn to make 24 in total, but not for last Christmas. that's for sure. Anyway, I'm planning on making a neater finish for it sometime, but this way it also fit in the tree, and yeah, I'm quite happy with it. It's also nice and soft balls that will not break when they fall, and I do have a tiny guy walking around that likes to get his hands on everything. So yeah, it seemed less dangerous to have something that would not break and fall apart. So yeah, let's put the balls back in the tree for now. Yeah, I've made 6 different patterns. So with the deer on it, one with the Christmas bell. There's also some other decorations that are crocheted and not by me, by the way, that I have received as part of Christmas cards in the past. So there's a bell type one. There's one with the star or rose maybe. There's one that's supposed to look like pine cone. There's a kind of rose pattern. This is what I've started with. I think this is the first one that I knit, is with hearts on it. Do I have every type shown now? I think so. Well, that's what I've been working on quite a bit over the past 2 months. I think I was still knitting on it when I was celebrating Sinterklaas, so just 2 weeks before Christmas I was still working on it, and I think maybe a bit later I was still working on it. Anyway, it's done now, and I don't think I'll be picking up this project again until maybe closer to next Christmas, and I feel the need to knit more balls. And on the other hand, I think our tree is quite full. This is the only tree we've got. We moved to a bigger place last year, and last year we were still in the process of moving, so we didn't get around to purchasing a new tree. And this year, yeah, well, we've been so crazy busy that it didn't happen. We were already happy that we had put up a tree, and actually I think it was actually on Christmas Eve that we decided to first turn on the lights on the tree, which is just as much effort as pushing one button. But still, that didn't happen until Christmas Eve. So anyway, I'm still happy to have some nice knitted decorations for our Christmas tree. And then there have been a few more projects, and one that I'm looking forward to using but haven't yet. And this is a pair of Selbu socks that I've knit for myself. This is out of the new Novita Seven Brothers yarn, or at least I don't think the yarn is new at all. I think it's been around for, out of my head, I'd say something like 35 years, but at least it's been around for a long time. But it's new to my local yarn shop, so they have started carrying this yarn since somewhere this fall, I think. So I purchased this yarn, and I also got some more from a slightly less heavyweight sock yarn, because this is a wool nylon blend, but it's a lot heavier than your typical sock yarn. I think this is 200 meters per 100 grams, and typical sock yarn is around 400. So it's twice as heavy, I think. I'll need to check that. And I now also have another yarn that is like 260 meters, so it's somewhere in between. So this is I think a DK weight sock yarn. And I wanted to make some nice and warm socks for the winter. And it's already winter, and I have not been using them because I wanted to keep them somewhat nice. To show you. So yeah, here they are, and I'm really happy with that. And here is the sweater, the Marius sweater that I finished for my son. Yeah, I was hoping to have this finished before announcing the pregnancy, and then maybe do a family shoot. But that's just not in the cards today. So I don't know. It's finished. It's nice that he'll have a new Marius sweater that will fit him. I'm not sure at all whether it will still fit him by the time next year rolls around, and we can make like family photos with all four of us wearing this sweater. For those of you who are new, I knit a sweater once for my husband, obviously in the slightly bigger size, although I also used quite a bit of a heavier yarn for that. That was in Hifa or Hillesvåg Embla, which is a quite heavy yarn, and this is in Lamana Como. So this is definitely, well, it might come closer in a number of stitches than you would think, based on the difference in size. So this is just knit out of a much thinner yarn. Anyway, so I knit this one, once for my husband, who was still my boyfriend at the time. And then I knit one for myself. Then I knit a baby version when I was pregnant of my son. Yeah, to announce the pregnancy, and for him to wear the family sweater when he was born, or she was born. We didn't know what it was going to be. We also don't know for this pregnancy, because we just wanted it to be a surprise at birth. Anyway, so I knit a baby version, then I knit a slightly larger baby version for my son, but he's already grown out of that, and now I knit it a third version for my son. Yeah, so this is his third Marius, and maybe by next, like, we're expecting a baby at the end of June, and that's like the middle of summer for us. So probably not a good idea to want to do a newborn shoot with a heavy woolen sweater on. Who knows? It might be very cold by that time, but I doubt it. So I better figure out something else to wear at that time. But yeah, definitely around winter time, we will probably want to wear nice and warm sweaters, and it's been adorable seeing the pictures of my son and my husband wearing the same sweater at the same day. So this year for Christmas we also wore all of our family sweaters, because I don't think these are like, how do you call them? We call them bad Christmas sweaters. Like, they're not that they're bad, but they're, I don't know, over the top Christmassy. But these are not over the top Christmassy, but they still pass for Christmas sweaters. So anyway, That's another Marius sweater done. This is the first time that I did not bother with doing some kind of additional opening along the neckline. I just knit a collar for him because I feel like he can handle that now. And it's all done. Then there's one more knitting project that I've been working on, but there have been a few other projects as well. So first, there is a project that I have started when I was pregnant with my son, and I was going to knit him a baby blanket, and this is supposed to become stroller size. And I did have a marker in here marking where I had left off. I think last year I picked it up when I was pregnant, but before I miscarried, but then put it down again. But I know for sure that I was just started with the 4th skein, so I can see the tails hanging around here-ish. So I've made a decent amount of progress, like something like this since I've picked up this project again. But it's cotton and it's cabled and it's slow progress. I think this is Filler cotton, I think 8, but I'm not sure about the number. I'll put it in the description box too. Like, I put it down on the screen and then also put it down in the description box. I don't have, I obviously have the skein that is attached to this blanket here, but it doesn't have a label around it anymore. But I do have more balls because this would be a bit of a sad blanket. But because it's such a slow process, I didn't finish it in time before my son didn't fit in a stroller anymore. So, he still fits in the stroller, but like you have the type that is more bed-like, and you have the one that's more seat-like, and he now only fits in a seat type thing, and he doesn't need the same type of blanket for it. So, anyway, but we're now expecting a new baby, so another chance to finish this one. And maybe I have started in time this time to finish it. The pattern comes from a book that I have in Dutch, and it's to knit like the small dishcloths, but I decided to just make it 3 times as wide and 4 times as long. We'll have to see about that 4 times as long. I think I'm about halfway now. Like, I think this is almost 50 centimeters tall now, and it's 75 centimeters wide, and I'm aiming for 1 meter of length, but we'll see. Maybe if I'm at about 80 centimeters, I'll give up, and I think it's enough. But yeah, we'll see when we get closer to there. And at this point, it's definitely not a length that I would finish it as a blanket, because then it just wouldn't be as useful. So yeah, still a lot of work to do on this project, but at least it's coming along nicely. Then there is another project that I've finished since last time, but it's not a knitting project. It's a spinning project. Obviously, I've put a lot of other projects on top of it. So this is the finished Wensleydale Longwool yarn. So this is 100% Wensleydale wool that I've been spinning on my wheel. It's a traditional 3-ply, and as you can see from how curly some bits are, some bits are nice and straight. Like this is perfect, I think. But yeah, if you look at this bit, there's definitely some overplying going on. So I was planning on making a nice and cabley sweater out of this, but I think I only have 470 something meters, maybe even less. I think it's like 370 meters. So it's definitely going to be a bit tight for a sweater for me, and especially the coming few months, because I'm growing. So this yeah, I'm not convinced that this is the sweater's quantity, and I'm not sure whether I'll go back and try to fix the plying, because I'm also not really sure how I have to fix it, because I've been looking at tutorials on how to do it, and they tell you that from the twist that this has, you can tell whether you've put in too much plying in in the plying of the singles or in the plying of applying the yarn together. And if I run it through the wheel again, I can add or subtract a little bit of the ply that I added with the plying. It's confusing. I haven't figured out how I was going to do that, and by the time I was done spinning all of this, I was kind of done with the project, but also I was pregnant, so I knew that even if I was going to make a cable vest, because that seems to be possible, there are some patterns available that are sleeveless, and I think that's going to be my aim for now. But yeah, it's not going to fit me for the next this winter season, so yeah, I'll wait out for a bit and see whether I want to run it through the wheel again and maybe make it slightly more balanced, or I could just roll with it. I mean, I've knit with overplied yarns before, and it's not that much of a problem. I mean, if you have overplied or underplied yarn, then typically your knitting, like if it's balanced, and knitting a piece of stockinette will go straight, but overplied will go this way and underplied will go that way, or the other way around, I'm not sure. But if you do something like a siege stitch pattern, then you are constantly balancing it out, like the knit stitches will slightly twist one direction, and the purl stitches will bend the other direction, and it'll be balanced. So if I go for a pattern that is textured enough, then it will not be so much of a problem, I understood. Or if I go for a ribbed pattern or something like that, where it's constantly balancing out the unbalancedness of the yarn. So that might be an option. I'll have to see. I'll probably go for that and try that, and if that doesn't work, I can still go back and rip out the knitting and still reply the yarn. So we'll see, but not for now. Then I've started another knitting project, or spinning project, and it's there's a whole host of singles on the bobbin here. This is deliberately spun quite a bit thinner than the singles of the previous project, and this is a merino and silk blend from Schaap and Draak. I had 2 of these braids, and I'm planning to knit a sweater for my son out of this. Yeah, I'm applying it a bit thinner, and it's probably going to be a bit of thinner yarn, but at least it's going to be enough to knit a sweater out of. I decided to treat myself to some very nice yarn when I was a bit sad about not being able to knit the full-length cable sweater that I wanted out of the yarn that I had spun. So yeah, here's what I've spun so far. It's like half of the first braid, and then here's the second braid, and I'm not sure whether I'm going to make it a 2-ply or a 3-ply, but we'll see. This is probably something you should think about before you start spinning, but I typically don't. I just go with whatever I get. So yeah, there you go. And then there is another project that I've been working on, and it's a bit of sewing. I have been working on Agnes tops again, but this time I've been working on maternity Agneses again. So here is the second one I've made actually since I've been pregnant. What's special about the maternity version is that on the side there is a lot of gathering going on, which leaves space for the for your growing tummy. So if I hold this pattern here, you can see that the front is much longer than the back side, which is nice because typically when you're pregnant you mostly grow in the front and not so much in the back. So it just doesn't really have any slim waist shaping, and has, I think it's around 5 inches of extra length on the front. That is sewn together with the back with gathers to make sure that you have those extra inches in the right place. And I have actually made 2 of these now. This one is not as stretchy as I was hoping, so this is a jersey fabric, but it's not as stretchy as the other one. So I was a bit sad about that, because that stretch really helps you if you need some additional space. But still happy to have 2 new shirts. And I've never really made this pattern as a shirt before, or at least not as a maternity shirt, because I've made plenty of these as a non-maternity shirt, and that's basically my go-to for almost every day. I have 2 basic t-shirt designs, and one is this long sleeve t-shirt, and it's Agnes from Tilly and the Buttons, and I also have another raglan short sleeve type shirt that I wear a lot. I'm actually wearing one today, but it's hard to see under the dress that I'm currently wearing. But in the previous pregnancy, or at least when I was pregnant of my son, I made 3 dresses, and I also made some sleeveless shirts like that I wear as underwear, and I've made a few pregnancy skirts, and that was enough. And now that I have a son and we have plenty more laundry to do every day, well, not every day, but every week, we are constantly behind on the laundry a little bit. Like when it was just my husband and me, there was plenty of time to wash my clothes as soon as they got dirty and I needed them again. But now I noticed that just those 3 dresses, dresses I feel like are a lot less comfortable now than they were when I was pregnant with my son, because when I was pregnant with my son I didn't have a baby running around, and I did not sit on the floor as often to play with him. So now I will sit like cross-legged, or like yoga lotus pose or whatever it's called, on the floor, and that's just not as charming when you're wearing a skirt, so or a dress for that matter. So I really am aiming to make some more pregnancy pants this time, because I feel a little bit more comfortable with that. Also, well, it's not really the skirts aren't bothering me as much because they are a bit wider as well, but the dresses are not really made to stretch out to the side so much. So yeah, they were very practical when I was pregnant with my son, but not so much anymore now. So I needed some additions to my wardrobe. Also, I am a bit more lazy and a bit more okay with buying clothes for myself now than I was back then, because I just simply have a lot less time to make clothes, and my shape is changing fast. But sadly we are in a lockdown, so all the clothing stores are closed at the moment. Like, you can order things and then pick them up, but there's no way to fit them before you buy them, and I don't really like buying clothes that I haven't fitted before. I have never really purchased any clothes or shoes online for that matter, except my wedding shoes actually. Those were purchased online, but those were really just another color of a version of shoes that I already had. So like that kind of gamble I dare to make, but not much more than that. So yeah, but I think that's everything for now. So I have a lot of fabric ordered, but and I've ordered fabric from I think two stores, but in both stores I managed to order also that one thing that wasn't available right at the moment I ordered it. So both of the packages are delayed, and I really want to get started, and I really do not have that much time to get started, so I don't know why I'm bugged about it so much, but I want to receive my package at least, and then I can start washing the fabrics and everything. So But yeah, that was everything. So thank you so much for joining me this time, and I hope to see you again soon. I hope you all have a lovely time, and we'll speak again in about a month's time, if all goes well, because life tends to happen. Anyway, bye!